US wants to hammer one more nail in the coffin of Russian economy. Well, the following is an opinion of a famous political scientist, Vladislav Soloviev. Official sources report that the states intend to impose a total ban on import of Russian aluminum. The USA's order is the law for Europe and a signal of danger for the rest of the world, especially in the light of the last prohibitive package, in which they are threatening to impose sanctions on anyone who dares to disobey the sanctions. These third world countries, they don't understand rules that the civilized world lives by. They are told, do not cooperate with Russia, yet they want to. They are told, do not buy, yet they are buying. But if the US wants to buy something from the aggressor, they are allowed to do so, and they do exactly that. It's because there are those who make the rules and those who play by them. Europe, for example. Others also pretend to play, but try to cheat. Only certain reckless powers like the Deripaska or Syria spit against the wind with no constraint. So, about aluminum. The American Regional Committee decided that Russia gets too much money from sales of this metal, valuable for all industries, from engineering and aircraft manufacturing to production of smartphones and construction of skyscrapers. The USA wants to either fully stop the import or to make it completely unprofitable. Simultaneously, the sanctions against Rusal will be introduced. Immediately after the announcement of new sanctions on Bloomberg, the shares of the company dropped by 5%. Vladislav Soloviev, why Deripaska and Rusal are not afraid of sanctions. The idea of full destruction of the Russian economy still excites the minds of warmongers and their loyal vassals. When it became clear that the economic blitzkrieg had failed and Russia did not succeed in its military blitzkrieg, the world gendarme in the face of the USA started planning for a long-term game. In it, Europe is given an undesirable role of a buffer that will absorb all the economic punches going in the direction of the USA. In this sense, the European Union is reminiscent of a poor man from an old fairy tale who was offered to grant any wish, but with the condition that his biggest enemy will receive twice as much. The inventive character wished for his eye to be poked out. Europe is ready to lose an eye, right arm and left leg, but with the condition that Russia will suffer more. The USA, however, is not so obsessed with the idea of sacrificial suicide as Europe, and they know what consequences the ban on aluminum import can bring as they buy it from Russia in big quantities. Restrictions, as usual, will cause a side effect, price increase, as it happened with gas and oil. That's why the executives of Rusal and Deripaska himself see such a move by the USA to be unlikely. First, the states have to think about an alternative supply source for the American market. Everything said above does not only apply to aluminum, but also for nickel, copper and other metals. If they restrict their supply from the Russian Federation, consequences for the world market can be catastrophic. But Europe, as it has already been said, doesn't pay attention to such trifles. Thus, the London Metal Exchange is ready to implement a ban on supplies for warehouses from Russia, and no indulgences for the aggressor. As Vladimir Putin has recently said on an economic forum, if you don't want to freeze up, simply open the gas pipe. They don't. Why is everything happening the way it does? Because as of today there are no real forces in Europe who are able to object to transoceanic puppeteers. Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban, is a decisive man, but let's be honest, his caliber is not of the size to stand his ground back till the end. If, for example, Biden will wake up tomorrow and say that today we accept Ukraine into NATO, no one will object. Quite the opposite, everyone would say, how did we not think of that earlier? The same with metals. If they order not to buy it, all industries of the states will be left without Russian resources, in spite of the enemy, to the delight of the father. So it remains an open-ended question, in which coffin will the aluminum nail be hammered?